Hi, everybody. Hello, hello, hello. It's always nice to see you. It's another wonderful Monday. I know I look outside, the sun is shining, but even if the sun isn't shining, it's still a wonderful Monday. I'm glad you're here today and welcome our replay viewers. If you're a replay viewer, if you're watching the show and you watching the replay, thank you. Thank you to each and every one of you. I'd like to thank each and every one of you that would go to YouTube and like and subscribe and comment. I'd like to thank all of you. I just definitely appreciate it. I'm going to take just a moment to thank our sponsors. We have people that sponsor the show, and it really means a lot. So, the following sponsors for today's show are number one, we have the Idea Club. It's theideaclub.com. And the Idea Club, if you are interested in starting a nonprofit, if you would like to have an LLC, which is a limited liability corporation, if you like to have a C Corp or an S Corp, you want to contact the Idea Club. And the president of the Idea Club is Dumas Martin Jr. Dumas Martin Jr. Contact them if you're interested in any of those things. So I'd also encourage you, if you are interested in purchasing or selling your home, you can contact Henderson the Henderson Real Estate Travel Team, and you want .info. Give them a call. Henderson Real Estate. Did I say it right? Henderson Real Estate Team.info. Give them a call. Also, if you traveling, everybody see what's going on with this traveling. You really want to have at your disposal, to the best of your abilities, some travel insurance. The way you get travel insurance, you go to firstfridaystravel.com, and travel insurance is very inexpensive. It really is, considering what it covers if you ever need the travel insurance. If you are interested in writing a book, I hear this all the time, people interested in writing a book, then you would go to First Book Academy. And there you can go and get book coaching on writing I won't say publishing, but definitely writing your book. You go to First Book Academy, you can get that done. Also, if you want to join our email list, the email goes out for this show about 5 days before the show. The text message goes out the day, Sunday before or the Monday. If you're on the email list, if you like to get on the list, you go to marydwelch.com. marydwelch.com. You click the very first button at the top and you can join the email list. If you would like to receive a text message, you would text the word show, SHOW, to the short code 474747. And when you do that, you get on the texting list. Now, okay. So, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to introduce to you now our guest that's going to be on the show today. Let me tell you, this is really exciting to me because I didn't know this existed, and she doesn't know this, but I will tell you why this affects me. Truthfully, it's personal to me. It's called Cascade of Empowerment. It's a nonprofit 501c3. It was founded in October of 2019 and incorporated in February of 2020. The organization is non-denominational and supports primarily for widows, but will include divorced women and single parents without a spouse. Although they are not a religious organization, we do endorse scriptures to ultimately define widowhood, our purpose and mission during this stage of their lives. They assist women during the most significant transition of their lives. According to a recent U.S. census, there are 4 times as many widows as widowers. Between men and women tend to seek help more than men after a spouse's death. Surprisingly, many support groups are composed of women under 50 years of age with children still at home. Cascade of Empowerment will provide resources to widows as they adjust to their new normal and journey through widowhood. Grief support groups will provide a safe haven for women to share with other widows. Their vision is to provide a strong network of widows and seek to empower this group through shared experiences and building lasting connections. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome our special guest for today. Her name is Liz McBride. She is the founder, the president, and CEO of Cascade for Empowerment. Hi, Liz.
Hi, how are you?
I'm fine. How are you?
I'm doing wonderful.
Oh,
Doing
that's I
wonderful.
tell you. Well,
Yeah.
welcome. We want to say Richard Nichols says hello. So we got to say hi. I always say hi anytime the comments come in.
Okay.
All right. Well, Liz, why don't you? I was reading an introduction, and to be absolutely honest, when I read everything, you didn't know this. I was widowed. You didn't know. I don't think I even mentioned it to you.
No, no, you
I
didn't.
was widowed some time ago, over 30 years ago. My husband died, suddenly of a heart attack. And what can I say? It was a shock. It's a shock to your entire life changes overnight, basically.
Yes.
So what I know of what that means, but I'm so happy to know that there's a group like yours that exists. I've never heard of Cascade for Empowerment, but I'm so happy you're there. So
Well, we're glad to be here.
why don't you tell our audience how did you get here? Let's go with that.
Okay. Just going over a little, there comes a time in life that everything that you've ever learned, every career that you've ever been in, it kind of all ties in to be useful for this time of your life.
Right.
And one of the things that I recognize is that um, I'll start a little bit about myself. I'm also a real estate agent. I have a hospital administration background. And that's where I was heavily involved with policies and procedures and managing physicians. And so a lot of the administrative and organizational side, I brought that
Mhm.
into the nonprofit.
Okay.
Um, but I found that my journey to widowhood
Mhm.
um, was the fact that I lost a business partner as well. My
Mm.
husband, John, got me into real estate. He was funny, he was serious. As a matter of fact, there's somewhat of a dichotomy there for someone who could be so joking and so fun
Mhm.
loving, could also be so serious.
Right.
So, but he brought me into real estate. So when he died, it really not only did I lose a husband, I lost a business partner,
Mm.
and so I had to kind of be strong for not only my clients but for
Mhm.
my children.
Right.
And there were three deaths that I experienced in my life
Mhm.
that made changes. Very early on, it was my grandmother.
Okay.
My grandmother, I was only 13 years old when she died, but it was just so devastating because I was under her all the time.
Oh.
But I learned from my grandmother's death that I took up the mantle of the family, and I'm most like her than any of her children or any of her grandchildren.
Oh.
So the legacy of Elizabeth Carter lived through Elizabeth Randolph
No.
McBride. And then, so I picked up her legacy from there,
Okay.
but it was
Mhm.
very devastating. The
Oh.
other death was my mother's. When my mother died,
Mm-hmm.
um, it was a horrible grief, the most worst thing I could ever experience.
Yep.
But what I found from her death is I became very decisive.
Okay.
Nothing. I went into my inbox at my desk, and I'll tell you, things that have been sitting in my inbox for months, I was able to clean it out
Whoa.
because I became more decisive after
Right.
her death.
Right.
I also made a decision about my family.
Mm-hmm.
I was the oldest girl, not the oldest child, but I was the oldest girl.
Okay.
And we kind of got in a little turf after the funeral, not before the funeral, what we were going to do, and everybody
Mm-hmm.
had their own opinion. I looked over at my mother's shoes and I said, I'm not going to be their mother. I'm going to let everybody fend for themselves. I'm not going to take on that role.
Right.
Now, that was a management decision to not have to feel like I needed to mother my family.
Right.
Didn't have to be the second mother. That was a decision. But
That's
after my husband's death, it was no
uh-huh.
death like that one because it
Oh,
affects you in so many ways,
yes.
in your
Yes. Yes.
personal
Yes.
life
Mm-hmm.
and in your business life. So I shortly joined a widow support group at my church,
Okay.
and they were just starting. As a matter of fact, I think I might have missed one session
Okay.
from the time that it was implemented. And I found myself very much appreciating being in the environment of other widows.
Mm-hmm.
And I made a decision there that there were two scriptures that was going to govern my life. And one is, he gave me of oil of joy for the spirit, of joy or gladness for the spirit of mourning.
Mm-hmm.
That's found in Isaiah 61:13. And then the other scripture was, he established the border of the widows. God knew that I was going to be at this place in my time, at
Right.
this time in my life. Now, anybody that knows me, there's a lot of little girl in me because of having all of the brothers. I was two brothers were older than me, and then I had two under me. It's a total of six. But I was always that little girl that was protected. My husband
Mm-hmm.
protected me. So it was huge for me to all of a sudden to be alone.
Right.
And but that journey of widowhood, it started with me. Number one, I was decided I was going to take care of myself, my own body, because I lost a lot of rest, a lot of sleep.
Right.
So I started going on a wellness journey. And then joining the group provided a safe group for me to talk with other widows
Mm-hmm.
and not feel like I was wearing out their ear or I was talking too much.
Right. They knew. They
They
understood.
knew, absolutely. And there was
Uh-huh.
one of the younger widows in our group. They literally told her, get over it. You were not even married that long. That's not a thing
Oh
to say.
no.
Yes. You should never say that to anyone that's grieving,
No.
to get
No.
over it. And the other thing that I found out is that I became a recruiter. As I saw other women losing their husbands, I would
Uh-huh.
bring them immediately into the group. And
Oh.
when I say immediately, within two
Uh-huh.
weeks, a month, they would get
Right.
in the group. And they really appreciate it because it was a safe haven for them to
Right.
talk about what was going
And
on.
as I'm listening to you, I can think of two ladies I personally know that are widows. To my knowledge, I don't believe they're in a group. If they are, they haven't expressed it to me, and
Right.
I am definitely going to refer them to you.
Yeah.
It's been about 2 years for both,
Okay.
two or more, but I don't think that matters
No, it doesn't.
because
No.
that's irrelevant. They are no doubt still they're grieving. Let me just
Yeah,
say that,
they
and I
are.
know that to be true. And
Absolutely.
then just recently, I lost one of my sons, and his wife. I will be referring to you also. So that's three ladies that I personally know that are widows. And these widow, and like that you mentioned before, I mentioned by reading your bio, two are under 50.
Yeah,
Two are
absolutely.
under 50. One is, but not much older than 50. And so it's in this place. I think it used to be, you tell me, in the Bible, it says we're supposed to take care of widows and orphans.
Yes.
I
That's
don't
one of the
know.
first commands of the church is to take care of the widows. Absolutely.
I don't know that we still live up to that.
Dang, I agree with you.
Yeah,
I agree with
I think we did maybe at one point in time. I don't think. I think now you have to make sure you have your own insurance or whatever it is you need.
you. Yeah.
It's on you.
Yes,
It's,
absolutely.
but I know
And
too.
and
What
they
does
should do that.
Oh, I
Absolutely.
agree. I agree.
Yeah,
But everybody doesn't, and everybody's not in a position to do that. And as a
absolutely.
matter of fact, Inoko, she just came in. This is hello, Inoko. For those of you that don't know, and I knew her husband, and she's been with him. I think it's been 2 years. I'm gonna guess. I think you can correct me, Inoko. So she is one of the young women I was speaking of.
Right.
So I definitely want to refer her to you. But I also want to say hello to all the people that made comments this morning and say good morning. Good
Good
morning,
morning.
Richard and Charles Radney. Charles, good morning. Richard Nicholas, Charles Radney, Gwendolyn Stringer. Hi, cousin. Sheila Hardman. Hi, Sheila. Sheila is, I tell you, this is the support of this show. I can't thank you guys enough. They are here every single week. Shelly Dansby, welcome. Inoko, welcome. I've known Inoko since she was a teenager. So it's been a long time. But at the same time, I'm so proud of her. I know
Right.
she has suffered a great loss, but she has been able to, because I'm going to use my example. The doctor told me when I lost my first husband, you have to make a choice to live.
Yes.
You have to make a choice. I
Yes, you
think people don't realize that. That's how devastating it is now. You have to choose to live because this was
do.
your life partner.
Right.
How do you help ladies to, and I'm assuming that there's some men too in your group.
Well, no, they're not. This is just for widows.
Okay.
But I, at our annual event, we
Mhm.
have invited men
Okay.
and women, to come, both groups to come in.
Got it.
But what we, why a widow support group versus just a general grief support?
Mm-hmm.
Probably about 6 months into being part of the grief support for widows, we were encouraged to go to a general grief support. And I'll tell you, groups uh, grieve differently.
Right.
Like, for example, I left there so sad because I had a hard time dealing with at that time the child who lost their mom
Mm.
and the mother that lost their child.
Right. Right.
Mixed groups don't always do well. They don't talk freely because
Mm.
you go through the emotions of guilt. And, like, for example, I have my daughter lost a child,
Mm-hmm.
and every year the date of his death, that's hard for her. And unless you have lost a child or lost a sibling, you
Mm-hmm.
don't always identify with that death. And
Mm-hmm.
widows, or they thrive best when they're in a group where they're
Mm-hmm.
sharing
Right.
like loss.
And probably because of the commonality of
Yes.
that, and that's a unifying force
Yes, it is.
of the group. I know too, but you also help single parents.
Yes.
That if they're single parents, and it was another area if they were
Divorced
divorced.
women who are, that's a loss.
It is.
On our board, we have two divorced women. Well, one lost her fiance, but the
Oh.
other one, it was a terrible loss for her. So
Mm.
we cover, and there's single women whose husbands might be in prison, they're not husband, but their baby's fathers might be in prison. We help them. So,
Right. Right.
yes, we do.
No, and I'm going to put your information up for anyone because um, I remember when as I was reading through it, it looked like so many areas you help with. I mean, it was if someone was in need of transportation, so there are people in the community would donate, let's say, a used car to your organization, and that would be a tax write-off for them, but it would be a vehicle for that parent that doesn't have
Absolutely.
a car.
Absolutely.
And that's the kind
Yes.
of thing I think people need to know that they can do. That this is, let's say you had, a running vehicle, but you just didn't know who to donate to. You're saying
Absolutely.
your organization has a need.
Yes.
If you have a vehicle, if you have, or it can be, let's say you have gift cards and you just want to donate, you have that you're not using or whatever, and don't plan to use, and you can donate to your organization. It would be able to help a family.
Absolutely. We did that last year at Christmas time.
Oh,
And,
I
like, for
think that's
example,
wonderful.
we have a widow right now that needs tires for her car. She's a good manager of her finances. She said, but I simply, when I get through with my bills, I have nothing left over. And she said,
Right.
I need to get tires. So as a need come up, we try
Right.
to get that need matched.
That's so helping the community
Yes.
because without that she may not be able to go to work or something
Right.
like that.
Right.
So I would hope that if there's anyone here that's in position to help, and they're saying this is a direct need that can be filled right now. You're helping someone in our community that needs it, and
Yes.
you may be in a better financial position. This is not something that's going to disturb your household, but you'd be amazed that there are people that do need it.
Absolutely.
So if you can do that, that would make a difference. I'm going to put the contact information up too. So you can
Okay.
call this number, ladies and gentlemen. I put the contact information up and the website. So
Right.
you can call the number 909-635-4124 for Cascade of Empowerment.org. They're a nonprofit. If you donate, whatever you're donating, you can write that off on your
Right.
taxes. It's
Now,
a
we
tax.
don't have a physical facility like for
Mhm.
accepting clothing and food. We
Okay,
connect people with food banks. We connect you with those needs.
right.
But whatever you give, on November the 30th, we have Giving Tuesday. And on that day, Facebook will match any funds that are given. They will match funds. So we encourage
Oh,
you to go on our Facebook page and feel free to give. And also, on that Giving Tuesday, we're going to be going to a nursing home in our local community. And we're going to be passing out care boxes. And
right.
those are to all of the residents, widows, anyone that's there. We're going to be giving out care boxes that day.
That's
So
wonderful. Now, this is at your organization's. Where would that be? You said
that's
there's.
going to be at a local nursing home.
Okay.
Here, here in Rancho, we're going to be giving care boxes out.
Okay.
So
So if you
So
know
it's a
someone
twofold thing on, it's called Giving Tuesday. And on that Tuesday, we're encouraging people to donate because they match funds, but we are going to be giving out to that nursing home. And I think they have about 55 residents. So we're going to
I
be
just
giving out.
look like the idea that Facebook matches whatever is donated that day.
Yeah, absolutely.
100%.
Well, yeah, they match whatever you give, they match it.
I love it.
Yes.
So you're getting double on that
Yes.
on that
We
contribution.
participated last year, so we're doing it again this year.
That's wonderful. So let me just make sure everyone, ladies and gentlemen, you see Cascade of Empowerment. You can go to their Facebook page, and if you make a donation, does it have to be on that day on November 30th?
Well, that's for the Giving Tuesday, but you go
Okay.
to our website to give it anytime.
Okay.
Anytime you want to go to cascadeofempowerment.org, and there's a donation tab for you to give.
That's wonderful.
Yes.
So definitely. So if your heart is touched by any of these giving opportunities, please take advantage of them and
Thank you
give
so
to this
much.
organization. Oh, for sure. Like I said, as I'm going through, I think sometimes people have a conception that when you lose a spouse, okay, you have the retirement coming in, you have the life insurance, all of these things you think are coming to the person that is widowed. Does
Mhm.
that happen?
No, it doesn't. As a matter of fact, we find, particularly with unexpected deaths, sometimes it is covered, but many times, like for example, cancer can drain. Try having
Mhm.
cancer, taking two people out of the family to care for the cancer, the spouse
Mhm.
and the wife. You're losing a lot of income.
Right.
You lose a lot of income. So unfortunately, not everyone has the large pensions and all of that.
Hmm. But I think there's a misconception, there's a conception, or you do have Social Security usually for the children.
Yes,
They do
absolutely.
have
You do have that.
that. It's
Yes. Yeah.
something to supplement what
Right.
they're
Right.
dealing with.
Right.
Is there any other ways that your organization is helping the widows or the single
Well,
parents?
one of the things that we try to do is be an emotional, there's some high holidays, your birthday,
Mhm.
Valentine's Day, and Christmas.
Right.
And we always get a gift, try to get a gift to that widow on their birthday and a
Oh.
phone call. And then we have birthday celebrations, and we're
Mm.
doing it every other month. We just had our last birthday celebration, September, at Walters, and that was in Claremont, and we had a great time. Um,
Oh.
our July and August was we had Taco Tuesday at Joe Filippi's Winery in Rancho Cucamonga, and we had a fun. Now we do believe in having fun. Two things that I believe in is that, and I think you said something at the beginning that kind of matches that. You can, I'll put it this way for me: you can stare at the grave long enough, and you'll fall in it.
There you go.
Life has to keep moving. Find your purpose. And a lot of healing comes from volunteering.
Oh
When
my
you
goodness.
volunteer to help people, you'd be surprised how it helps you. I've seen widows go at their initial meeting with us, crying, could not hold back the tears, meeting after meeting, and to see them smile and to send me a text that says, "This is truly empowerment." So we do
Oh,
believe in having fun. And I think a lot of people, there's a life that goes on. Some widows remarry, and that's scriptural for you to do that. Young women, widows marry. But by
mm-hmm.
the same token, when he says he establishes your borders, he knows your framework. He knew that you were going to be at that station at that time, and he
Wow.
can use that to help others.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
wonderful. It just sounds like, um, that someone that's been widowed longer can help someone that's newly widowed. And
Yes,
there's mentoring that's going on also.
absolutely.
And to tell them you are going to survive this
You will.
because there's a place in there where you wonder if you're going to survive it.
Yeah, you do. Yes, you do. Yes,
It's
absolutely.
like I said, I
Absolutely.
remember I actually told my daughter-in-law, I spoke with her briefly, and I said, "You don't even know that you're in shock. You don't even know because it's so new. You haven't really defined it in your mind as what has happened here." And so,
Mhm.
and she's like, "Am I really?" I said, "Just so you know, yes." And
Yeah.
I think it wasn't long after that she started realizing, um, and coming to the reality. It's a hard reality to come to,
Yeah, it
and
is. It is.
I think your mind is it slowly has to get there.
It's
Otherwise, you
slowly.
may go crazy if you really absorb it.
Right.
So you just little by little you inch toward it.
Yeah, you do. And
Amen.
you go through, after the death, it's so amazing. I asked the question to a group one time, what did you do immediately the week afterwards? There were some widows that just shut down entirely. They didn't plan the funeral, they didn't do it. They could not literally talk.
Oh, I believe that.
Yeah, and then
I
you had
believe.
others where, like myself, and many others, you have to be proactive. Your strength comes, but it's very important that you experience things like you get mad at God.
Yeah,
That
I
was
was
a
there
subject
too.
one meeting. How many of you got angry? Who did you get angry with?
Yeah.
And there was an occasion where I got kind of upset with my husband too, because I wished he had to share with me some of the physical symptoms that he had. He waited until he was getting ready to have a colonoscopy. So
Oh,
be involved. I encourage women, get involved with your husband's health. Ask him questions.
yeah.
And
Yeah.
the other thing that we also find is there are widows that do not know their husband's finances.
Yeah.
Know
Yeah.
what's going on in your bank account. What
I,
kind of programs are involved?
well, I know too. Also, to know even passwords on computers. I know people that they didn't know those kind of. You would think. I mean, and I understand why because we're living every day, and it's like, oh, I have the one thing I've heard more than anything else. I have time. I
Mhm.
have heard that more times than I can count. And the truth
Yes.
is, we don't know what that time is.
Right.
But we
Right.
live as though I always say people live as though nobody that they're not going to die. Death is
Yeah.
not imminent.
Yeah.
It's just one of those things. It happens to everybody but me.
Yeah. Yeah.
So unfortunately, we live like that. And then when it does happen, we're kind of like in shock.
Yeah.
Um, Let me just give this advice to anyone listening. I would encourage you to get passwords and everything
Yes.
now, because and put them somewhere safe. And this goes in also bank accounts, all of that. Because what happens when you lose someone, if they had a bank account, and sometimes people don't even know they have one at different
Yeah.
institutions. And then the money ends up going to the state because they were not aware that
Yeah.
they even had that. So I
Very
would
true.
highly encourage you to look into that. If this is something that applies to you, take the time and look into it. And
Yeah.
I see I'm seeing the comments come in. Inoko, oh, it was 2019. Inoko put in there. She lost her husband in 2019. So it has been 2 years. 2019. And
Yeah.
then this is my husband. He's also the executive producer for the show. And he said, "Hi, babe. Looking forward to a good and informative show. Welcome, Liz, to the show." So
Thank you. Thank you.
that's Oliver.
Thank you for inviting me.
Oh, you're welcome. We're glad to
Yeah.
have you.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
this is, we have Eunice. Hi, you're new to this live. Hi, Eunice. Welcome. Welcome, welcome, Eunice. So come back anytime. And Inoko said, survival benefits are not available if your income exceeded a little over the poverty line. Your loved one's benefits are recycled within, she says, Social Security, which is crazy.
Yeah, it is.
Oh my goodness. So
Yeah.
it's so many things involved because
Yeah, it
you're really
is.
dismantling someone's life
Yes.
after when they pass away.
Yeah.
And it takes time. That's
Right.
another thing. It's
Yeah.
a time. I agree. When you said that about who are you upset with, who are you mad with. I'm gonna be honest. What I went through was the poor me. Why did I have to be? I was a widow. I was widowed at 35.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I thought, how can I be widowed? I thought I can be 35 and a widow. It just
Yeah.
didn't.
It didn't sound right.
It didn't
Right.
sound right. And I
Right.
did. Then I met a young lady that was widowed at 21.
Yes. Yeah.
See, that's you never know.
You never know.
21.
No.
I was shocked. She had
Yeah.
just been married. I think she had been married 1 year. Like
Yeah.
you said about the other lady had been
Yeah.
married.
About 4 months. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
I just can't imagine. I just can't imagine. What do you give counseling or is it more in a group situation?
Yeah, when they need in-depth counseling, we make sure that we get that referred because that could mean someone that might be. And we've had one lady where just based on her text messages and her phone call, it was important that she get help right away. So we connected her to a facility where she could get help. So it's
Okay.
very important for you to know in a grief setting when you're taking on someone that could be very, it could be their death if you don't do something. So,
No. So
but most of ours is in a group setting.
you
We
have
do
people that
repair.
work with you to do that.
What's that?
You have someone you can refer people to.
Yeah, we do. And
Okay.
sometimes, to be very honest to you, the one lady that we had, we referred her to a facility right away
Whoa.
because we couldn't get anybody, and it just didn't sound. She didn't sound healthy. And I contacted our grief support. She's a social worker, and she says, "Yeah." She says we're going to refer her to a facility. So
Yeah,
we ended
because
up
people,
doing that.
I don't think people know how far gone they are. I say far gone. My family took me to the hospital. They're like, she's not eating and she's not drinking,
Yeah.
and they're like, this is not good.
No.
And
Right.
while I was there, the doctor explained to me, you are trying to commit suicide.
Yeah.
If you're not eating and drinking, you're not the kind of person to do harm to yourself, but you're
Right.
doing it whether you know it or not. You're not eating and drinking. Your body cannot sustain this.
Right.
And he scared me.
Yeah.
I didn't
He
even
sure
know.
did.
I mean, I didn't know how far gone I was, basically.
Yeah.
And he said, you have to fight, which that's what I learned too, that to live every single day, we're fighting to live.
Yes.
You're either fighting to live or fighting to die. That's what
Yeah.
he said. You're deciding to die by not eating.
Yeah.
Until you start eating and drinking again. And he said, you have to decide. You have 3 kids. What's it going to be? Is it you're going to die or you going to keep living? You have to make a choice.
Yeah. Right.
But he said, life is about fighting.
Right.
I didn't know that. I learned something.
Yeah.
And so I started fighting. I started eating and drinking again.
Yeah.
Probably a little bit too much, but but I got back on track.
Right.
But
Yeah.
I tell you, and we have some more comments here. Let's go because we have Eunice. I could show you Eunice. Okay. Is there programs for widows to purchase a home?
The only thing I can say is that we are working toward that.
Okay.
Our goal is to be in a position where I have one widow that we've already identified that as soon as we get funding in at a substantial level, we
Right.
do want to set up that program.
Okay.
But we're providing sometimes there was one widow that if she had only had a couple $100 more a month, she could have done some training to get into another position. Those are all the reasons why we started Cascade,
Okay.
is seeing the need for people. Because way before I started the organization, I was helping people.
Okay.
But that's our goal, is to be in a position. Give us, I would say, in another 18 months, and if the funding is there, we have identified, of course, there's steps that you've got to go through to make sure that your program fits, all of the monetary requirements and organizations when you're
Right.
doing donation programs. Yes.
We have another comment. It's a really good one. This is from Michelle Hampton. And thank you, Michelle. She says, I recently gifted my kids with, wrote my obituary, completed a trust and a will, made all arrangements with Forest Lawn, put all account numbers and codes in a secure fire safety box. The kids know where the key is located. Only God knows our expiration date.
Absolutely.
Michelle, that is a gift.
That is a wise Michelle. I know
Mhm.
Michelle, that she's a wise lady. And
Yes.
it's just wisdom to think ahead. It really is. You save a lot of problems when you do that. Yeah.
And so much as if you go right now to a probate court, it's full of people that didn't do it.
Yeah.
That now the family, usually family, they're fighting over normally a home because that's the biggest purchase that any of us have, and it becomes a fight. What you're
Yeah.
saying, Michelle, there is no fight because you've
Yeah.
done everything.
Right.
Thank you. And you're reminding everybody else to do it. If you haven't already done these things, and you have to let people know where they're located. Whereas another thing, and we don't think about this, by the way, is what do we do if you own a domain? I know it sounds crazy. A domain is intellectual property. And
Right.
if you don't pay for it, you lose the domain or somebody else can get it. It
Right.
is so important to protect domains. And you can get them for, I think, up to 10 years when you purchase it. I don't know if you can get it past, I know it's 10, and you can renew it for up to that. And so Inoko said yes. So thank you. These are comments are excellent because I
Yes.
can tell you, it says, and then Michelle says, thank you for inviting me. No one needs to do, okay, no one needs to have to do that work while grieving. It's, I mean, the fact that I can promise you, you're definitely in the minority. Let me
Yeah.
tell you that. You are in the minority. I have actually heard a man say this, which it's embarrassing to admit, but he said it. He said, I want my family to fight over everything when I'm gone. Can you believe that?
Yeah. I can believe it.
I said, what kind of sisters? He said, I'm not here anyway. Let them fight over it. I couldn't believe that. I thought, now, so you know they're going to fight over it, and you're creating the atmosphere for this because you don't want to. You can decide before you pass away where you want everything to go. Why
Right.
not do that instead of cause chaos?
Right.
He
Right.
said, nope. I want them to fight.
Right.
I thought that was just. I don't want to. I don't know if I call it selfish. I don't really know what to call that.
Right.
But writing your obituary, I just mentioned that to my husband the other day. I said we need to write our obituaries. We're
Hmm.
both seniors, so let's be real about this. Many people have already bought their plots.
Hmm.
They've done that. I think she said that's evil. I'm telling you, I heard him say it. That's what I said. I was like, wow. I,
Yeah.
I agree with you on that, Michelle.
Yeah.
But people have bought their plots, they planned their funerals. I know one lady, she's done everything, paid for everything. The only thing her kids have to do is show up. That's
Oh,
it.
wow. My sister did that.
That's all they have to do is show up.
Yeah.
Nobody has to pay for anything, just
Yeah.
show up.
Yeah.
She's even, they paid, I think not paid, but gave donations to the church for the repast. So that would be taken care of also. Just
Right.
make sure that there's no problems, there's no
Right.
issues.
Right.
So I would now with your group, since they have experienced a loss, have they prepared for their own
Yeah,
funeral?
we talk. Yeah, we actually, this is a very good subject. And if you saw me, I was with my pen. That's a question that I am going to post to the group, because that's good. That's good planning.
It
To do
is.
that. It really
It is.
is. Yeah.
We have to talk about that. I mean, and
Yes.
Elaine Wilson, and thank you, Michelle. Thank you. And Elaine says, in my healing journey, I am learning it's okay to live by the world's lens of African American Black women. that we have to be strong. And she put that in all caps. I am celebrating and embracing being vulnerable and brave.
Yeah.
Okay, now.
I can
Okay.
identify with that,
Mhm.
Inaka. I celebrate being strong and also being vulnerable. You know,
Right.
sometimes when you um, put things out there, you may be a little vulnerable, you know, but you got to be brave.
That was Inoko that said that. I'm sorry. And that
Yeah,
was Inoko that I said Elaine.
yeah,
Elaine was the one above it. Elaine said, thank you, Inoko. It says, hi, Michelle. This is Elaine Wilson from Loveland. You have truly motivated me to complete the same things, make things easier for the family.
right.
It really, really does. And let me say this, and some of you may not know this, but it's true. If you live in California, you can write what's called a holographic will. What that means is you can write a will in your own handwriting, in ink, by the way, I won't say in pencil, it has to be in ink. Sign it and date it, and that is considered, they would honor that in court. Now, some people ask, do you have to have it notarized? According to California law, you do not, but I would say this. I would get it notarized just to make sure. But you can write a will in your own handwriting. Nobody, a lot of people don't know that. California is one of the few states, I think it's only like 6 states that accept that. But
Mhm.
California is one because we have 39 million people, which is almost, it could be its own country. And it's like we have to do something to slow down this probate system.
Right.
And another thing I'm gonna add, some of you don't know this either. Even if you have a will, your property will still go to court and be probated. Many people don't know that. They think, oh, I have a will, that's it. Nope. It goes in front of a judge, and a judge will have to verify that this is the last wishes of that person. So it's important to have a will. I don't want to try to not tell you to have one. Have a will, but know that if you only have a will, it's going to go to court to be probated.
You need a trust.
Exactly.
Yeah, you need a trust to avoid having to have probate.
And they're not too bad. The lowest I've heard is about 600.
Hmm.
I know years ago when I was able to get a trust, I did get a trust. It was more than that, considerably more than that. So I think 600 is very reasonable, truthfully. And then Michelle said, that's why you get a trust. Thank you, Michelle.
Yes, absolutely.
That's why you get a trust.
Right.
Mhm.
To
Now,
avoid that.
you don't go to court with a trust. Let me say that too. If you have a trust, what happens, those of you not familiar, it's called a revocable living trust. I actually studied all this. That's why I know about it.
Yeah.
And a revocable living trust, you would file it, if you own property, you file it at the county of records. And so your property does not go to probate. It doesn't go to court. The property goes to who you want it to go to. And that's it.
Yeah.
Now, let me also add, and you probably already know this too, Liz, whatever is attached to that property goes with it. For
Yeah.
instance, if there's any liens on the property, it goes with it.
Yes.
Any encumbrances, it goes with it. They don't go separate, it doesn't separate from it.
Right.
So just so you're aware of that. But I
Wow.
did study this at one time. I studied wills, I studied all this.
Oh, good.
I
Good.
know I probably could teach on this because that's
Yeah.
how much I know about it.
You know
But
what I have a desire for?
what's that?
There are so many, and I've had this desire for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
There's so many properties in Los Angeles County of African Americans that end up being probated because the children
Yep.
either have no interest or either they, for some reason, they never develop a trust. I wish there was a way that we could really communicate and do some
Mhm.
one-on-ones with people that are in that position because so many of African Americans' assets in Los Angeles County end
Mhm.
up in court,
In court,
and by the time the attorneys finish, there's very little
there's
left.
nothing left.
Right. I
Um,
wish there was a way that we could, and a lot of those kids are out of state. They're no longer in
mhm.
California, and they don't realize that this is a wealth machine.
I,
Our properties generate
yeah,
vacant lots, you know, in Los Angeles County can be $1 million. Yeah.
Charles has said, Mary, between Michelle and it's just between Michelle and Liz, you have two competent real estate pros on your show. All right, now, see
Yeah.
that's their forte. And
Yeah.
then Michelle, and thank you both. And Michelle
Yeah.
says, she said, don't forget the healthcare directives have to have an account with the loved one's name on it to bury you. The life insurance policy may take a couple of months to pay out.
Yeah.
And I'm going to add also, too, what's important, ladies and gentlemen, you want to put someone's name on your bank accounts as a beneficiary. I can't stress that enough. You don't have to put them on the account, but if you put them down as a beneficiary, you will be able to get the money immediately. If there's no beneficiary on the bank account, it takes 30 days. It takes 30 days before you can get in that bank account. This is a fact. I'm just telling you what to expect. So I would encourage you, put a beneficiary on your bank accounts. It's really, really important that you do those kind of things. It makes a difference. I've had situations that people had to wait 30 days to have the funeral because they had to wait to get the money out of the bank account to do that. So it's little things that I have learned these things truthfully, honestly, after my mother's passing.
Yeah.
When my mother passed and I'm the executor of her estate, I learned so much that I just didn't know. I knew about a trust, but many of the other things I didn't know about the bank accounts or your, if you have a retirement account. Some retirement accounts will, when the person dies, it goes with them.
Right.
And people don't know too, your power of attorney, it dies with that person.
Right.
I've had people say to me, well, I have the power of attorney, but the person is deceased. And I said, no, you don't. I said, once they're gone, the power of attorney dies with them.
Right.
So I've learned a lot out of necessity. And so I would encourage you to get and do it for if you have a safety deposit box, you can have a beneficiary on that also. So if you were deceased, they would notify the next of kin that there is a safety deposit box and they would be able to come and those kind of things. And some people have all of these things, but they have nobody else listed as a beneficiary, not on the account. And that's what I would like to stress. So that you're not on the account, where they can't get into your account or anything like that. I tell you, that's a subject.
Yes, it is. That's a very good subject, even for widows.
It is for anybody.
And for anyone. Absolutely. It's you need to be prepared.
Michelle got me going when she said, write that obituary.
You got it. Yeah.
So ladies,
but Michelle's going to live to past 100 anyway.
All right. Come on, Michelle. Michelle said, I received that. Do you receive that, Michelle? She said, so the healthcare directives for sure. And the next comment, she said, you can also use Google a notification checklist for them to notify Social Security, DMV, and now I didn't know that, Michelle. Yeah. I learned something new. Good for you. You can Google a notification checklist. I never knew that.
Yes.
I have to write that down.
And that's good even to pass on to widows after they pass. I know that generally their funeral home will help them with that, but that particular checklist is a little bit broader.
It looks like it.
Is. Yeah.
From what I know, the funeral home contacts Social Security. I remember that I didn't have to do anything.
They did. Yeah.
They contacted them because I remember thinking, did I call Social Security? Nope. They had already called and let them know.
Yeah.
And depending on when, I know someone, they received a Social Security check. Was it one day? They actually came back for the Social Security check. The person had passed, and on like the 30th and the 1st, the check came, and they said they want the check back.
Yeah.
I'm a witness to that too.
I've experienced that too.
Everything, don't think the government doesn't know. They know when things are, when somebody passes. Right. But it just depends. Another thing, and we haven't talked about this on when somebody passes, is that you can do a pre-need. Our friends are very into pre-needs, where you can take care of the funeral costs. You can start paying on it now, as opposed to when somebody, as we see, you go on the websites and people are raising money for a funeral. You can start making payments. I mean, I think some of them are low as like $50 a month toward paying off the funeral. So it's not this huge amount of money. A lot of people are cremating now too. That's very popular now. It's cremations.
Yeah,
So that's another avenue that I notice more and more people are doing is having a cremation because it's cheaper than an actual funeral.
right. It
So,
is.
well, I'm just going on and on.
Yeah, it brings up this subject of death and grief. It brings up a whole lot of subjects to go along with it.
It
You know, what do you
does.
do? You know, when you leave, and just a couple more things. We do believe in doing things in the community. I told you we're going to do the nursing home
Hmm.
on November the 30th, but we
Right.
did a shredding event in May. And
Okay.
next year, that event was at the Rancho Chamber of Commerce, and we did that in May of last year. This year, we're going to do it in April, and we're adding the electronics. I've already
Mm,
contacted electronics; they will be there, so you can shred your paper goods, and you watch how those documents are being shredded at the event.
right.
And we're going to have a section for electronics to be.
I've seen those in high schools and things like that. You
Yes,
just
we did
contact
a big
them.
one. Yeah, we did
Okay.
that last year
Oh,
and we asked for a donation of $10 when we did it. So
okay. And so
we
it's a
weren't able.
fundraiser.
Yeah, we did it as a community fundraiser.
All right. Well, I can tell you, you really are changing lives because I can guarantee you there are ladies that have said, and I've never been to your group, but I just know just by speaking to you that you're a lifesaver. You're
Yeah.
a lifesaver. You,
Well, I love saying this because it's true. People love. I was loved from a kid throughout my life. I've been loved
mm,
and celebrated. And as a result of that, I love loving on people. I like to see people do better.
right,
And sometimes I recognize when somebody just needs a little help,
right,
and then they're able to make it on their own. I don't want to manage you because that's a big job to manage people,
right.
but just giving them a little help, giving them a little hope.
Oh,
And I want to share this because I've been studying the book of Jeremiah.
okay.
Now, you'll find that a lot of people, if you ask them, who do you want to meet when you get to heaven? David's on the list. Mary is on the list. Ruth is on the list. Both Marys, all the Marys are on the list. Jeremiah is not on the list.
Right.
Jeremiah was a weeping prophet. But I'm
Mhm.
going to share something with you.
Okay.
In the 32nd chapter of Jeremiah, now here he was young and a prophet. And he was prophesying to all of these nations, and I mean it was doom and gloom, and people were struck down immediately for prophesying wrong things, but there was a lot of death. And it reminds me of the time that we're living in. We have unusual
Mhm.
deaths going on, young people that we would never have suspected,
Yeah.
great leaders that we would have never, and I can imagine in Jeremiah's time just why he was weeping. I can understand why he was weeping because this
Right.
is a day where, I mean, you can shed a whole lot of tears. But
Yeah.
in the 32nd chapter of Jeremiah, the
Hmm.
Lord instructs him to go buy some land. I said, wait a minute. I don't see anywhere where Jeremiah had a job. What did he do? And so rather than spending a whole lot of time trying to figure out what kind of job Jeremiah had, the Lord spoke to me. He said, in the middle of death and grief and destruction, I empowered Jeremiah to go buy the land. And that's what he does with our lives.
It
In the
does.
midst of what we're going through, he'll give you instruction that empowers you. And I'll tell you, being empowered is the best position to be in
Oh.
because you can help others. You can encourage another person. This is a different type of sisterhood. You can make it.
Mm,
God's got you.
mm.
He's with you today. Cry, baby. Cry. Get all the tears out. Don't let anybody stop you from crying.
Right. Right.
But he's got you. Your borders are established. And a lot of churches are not doing what that command says, to help the
Mm.
widows. But by the same token, we're in a position where we can help each other.
Wow. I
So
could tell
Jeremiah
you.
was empowered in the midst of all that death and destruction. He was empowered. One chapter, buy the land.
All
So we
right.
gonna buy the land, folks.
Inoko said, "Amen," and I say,
Amen. Amen. Amen.
"Well, I can tell you, just listen to you on when you're going to be applying for grants to help the widows with to
Yes,
purchase a
that's
home."
our next level. Our next level is applying for grants. We're
Okay.
about 6 months behind with some of the record keeping that we should have had with our finances.
Mm-hmm.
We have a chief financial officer, but we really needed a bookkeeper so that all of the entries that we do financial reports, but certain kind of financial reporting that you have to do to get grants. So
Okay.
we're working on that right now,
Right.
and we're accountable. We're good stewards of what's given to us.
All
So,
right.
and if you are an able widow and you want to help, feel free to do so. We can do it.
Well, I can see. Inoko's comment was together. Oops, here we go. Together we are strong, and real healing is not a solo
It's
act.
not. Yes.
I love it. I
Yes.
tell you. And then Gwendolyn says, "In the midst of death, grief, and destruction, the Lord empowers." That's a good word.
And
Thank
that's
you. Thank you.
2021, folks. 2020 and 2021. I'll tell you right now, I haven't got over Kobe Bryant's death. That was a hard
Mhm.
death for me
Yep.
because I could identify with him. I remember being that young executive that sometimes, I would say things, and I mean, I was, you know,
Yeah.
I
Oh
just
yeah.
do it. I just do it.
But
And he's having to drink milk, while his colleagues are getting liquor. I
hmm
was young in management, and I know that there's a lot of things that I'd done. If I had to do it over, I'd do it again.
well, I tell you,
By the same
it.
token, that death bothered me. And last year, we just lost so many great people, and
We
this
oh
year
my
too.
goodness. Oh
And
yeah.
young people. So in the midst of death, God is empowering you, folks. Catch the
Woo.
word, run with it,
I was gonna say
buy the land.
as we are getting near the end of the program, what are your final words to our audience list?
Our final words is be encouraged, know the station you are in your life,
Mhm.
and as a nonprofit organization, we're always looking for donors. We're always looking for people who want to, you don't have to be a widow to come to some of our events. We had a blast for our annual day in June. It was excellent. So, any way that you want to support, we have two categories. You can be an ambassador who's like a member, or you can be a partner. And a partner, men and women, whoever you want to be, we thank you.
Right.
But
All right.
help us perfect the vision.
All right.
If
We
you have
like to
something you
thank.
want to add or something you feel like you want to do,
Mhm.
we bring it before our board. Where we are strongest is in our administration and organization. We have
All
our
right.
regular board meetings.
Mhm.
Our board meetings are well attended. Attendance compliance is there. All of the organizations we need to comply with, we're there. We're
All
just a little bit behind on the grants that we wanted. So, but we'll get there.
right.
The
I
spirit
like
of
to
excellence
thank
will
you.
prevail.
I like to thank you for being here today. I've learned so much. I mean, from the comments and from you, and I
I
will
have
be
to.
referring ladies to you, just so you know. I definitely have a few ladies I like to. So thank you for taking time today to be on the
Yeah.
show.
One last thing, December 18th is our Christmas party. If anyone wants to go, it's going to be at Cara Mia's in Rancho Cucamonga. Check our website and sign up there if you want.
All right. Thank you.
It'll
Well,
be a
ladies,
party. It'll be a party.
okay.
That's the
Everybody.
other side of me.
Miss
Fun
Gwen
loving.
said, great show. Elaine said, if you trust God, He will empower you in ways that you can't comprehend. Inoko said, awesome. Inoko said, can you give her information again? And I will put that up one last time as we get ready to let me make sure I put it's right there. Is there? There we go. Okay, ladies, gentlemen, thank you again, Liz, for coming on the show. We
You're welcome.
appreciate
Thanks for the invite. I appreciate it.
it. All right. Oh, I'm sorry. There, I'll bring you back real quick. Yep. Okay. All right. Thank you. There, ladies and gentlemen, we are like 1 second away. It says, please email me. Okay, I put the information up again. No problem, Inoko. And I'm going to call the names out quickly again of everyone that made a comment. They are, let's see, Richard, Charles, Gwendolyn, Sheila, Shelly, Inoko, Oliver, and Oliver's executive producer of the show. Also, we have, as I go down, Michelle Hampton, Eunice, Michelle, Elaine, make sure I get everybody, Charles, Inoko. All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you, thank you, thank you. God bless each and every one of you, and I'll see you next Monday. Bye, everybody.